Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to those listening to the Talking Sports podcast. We just want to start off by saying thank you so much to those who watched our last video. It did great numbers. Continue to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you can see all of our content that we're posting. But today's episode is all things NBA conference finals. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks on the western side, and on the east, the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. Um, it's been a crazy start to the conference finals so far, Jeremiah.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I think a little bit what we expected, but still the games have been incredible to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get started with that, I think you had some news that you wanted to uh, give and shout out
For sure.
before we get started.
Yes. So this past Sunday, the Premier League champions, Manchester City, were crowned four-time Premier League champions in a row. That's never been done before. Um, it was a definitely hard season. We didn't get the glory in the Champions League that we wanted, but
Yeah.
we got the Premier League. We broke the records four times in a row. No team's done that. Um, and now we have a chance for a domestic double with the Premier League and the FA Cup. As we're recording this, is going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. against Manchester United. So, definitely not a failure of a season at all.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a good season, but just wanted to shout out my team, Man City, for getting it done. Shout out to Arsenal as well. I mean, they were close, only 2 points behind. Um, they're getting closer and closer, I feel like every season. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, shout out to Man City.
definitely. Shout out to Man City and all the Man City fans out there. Um, on the other side of that, Chelsea, my squad, they parted ways with Mauricio Pochettino. A move that is debated, whether it's a good move or not. I thought he did good. I thought he was a decent manager. He's always been a good manager to me. But I thought he did well with the talent that he had and a lot of the injuries that they had to go through. So it was mutual. So maybe he wanted to part ways. Maybe he wanted to go a different route, and Chelsea allowed him to do that just based on their affinity to him. So interesting move, and we'll see what Chelsea does next.
Yeah, for sure. I think his best years were at Tottenham,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
he's also had good stints at other clubs. And the first half of the season was rough. It was, but that back half, I mean,
Man,
purchase of Cole Palmer, when
absolutely.
Nico Jackson started playing better, the team started clicking. And I feel like for the ownership and the board to decide one way and then Pochettino decide another way, I feel like you have to start over again with another manager. There's a lot of managers on the market right now. A lot are gonna get let go after this week, so you know I'm sure y'all will replace them with another great name. But I feel like it was just starting to click. So,
I know
yeah,
that's the discouraging part because everything was starting to look so good.
yeah,
But it is what it is, and I don't know for sure who wanted out. If Pochettino wanted out, or if Chelsea, just fired him and he was okay with it. But it's tough because we did in so well, and you wanted to be able to carry that momentum into the next season, and have a decent showing when Chelsea comes to the U.S. But we'll see what happens. Xavi got let go of today, so maybe he comes over. That would be an interesting move.
Be great.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll let y'all know for sure. For all the Chelsea fans out there, let us know who you all want to see as new manager, and all the Man City fans, y'all can throw your congratulations in the comment section. But let's transition to the NBA. We've had two games in the Eastern Conference with Boston and Indiana, and one game with Minnesota and Dallas. And they're, as we're recording this, they're probably getting ready to tip right now. So, we can one or two games for both sides. So we'll start with the Eastern Conference in Boston and Indiana. Boston's up 2-0. They're already up 2-0 with both games at home. And these two games could not be any different. The first game, we saw Boston come out a little bit flat, and Indiana was riding the wave of beating New York, the Knicks, in 7 games. So they were carrying momentum into that game one Eastern Conference Finals game against Boston, and they played them tough. The game went into overtime. But in overtime, we saw Jason Tatum really take over, and really Jalen Brown, all the way through the game with his scoring, his ability to get to the rim and put points on the board. And in the end, the Celtics took game one. But in game two, it was a blowout, end to end, quarter, beginning to end. The Celtics took that game. And again, in my opinion, led by Jalen Brown, his scoring punch. They just can't seem to, um, guard him and make him struggle at all. But Jeremiah, your thoughts of the two games so far?
I think leading into this series, we were trying to decide who would be the better matchup for the Celtics. We talked about that, whether it
Right.
be the or the Pacers. I think ultimately with the Knicks injuries, we said the Pacers would be a better
Yeah.
matchup. Well, it's not particularly looking like it. And even though game one was a nail biter, it went to OT, the
Mm-hmm.
Pacers,
They
uh,
had it.
I feel like that was the series decider for the Pacers. When you go for a game that hard and when you have it in your grasp and you don't get it, you don't get the win, um, it's demoralizing. And so, you know, the Celtics are talented. We've seen that all
Yeah.
season. I've mentioned it. I don't know how many times now, but they still don't have 20 losses. Um,
Yep.
the best team in the league for a reason. And I just want to say this duo we've seen of Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum has maybe been a little up and down. Maybe they haven't accomplished as much as they would have thought by now, but they're special. Um,
Yeah.
Jalen Brown, hitting the shot to go to OT in the first game and then dropping
Huge shot.
40, right, huge shot, and then dropping 40 in the next game, and then Tatum's consistency um, is tough. And the reason why, I think this series is pretty much done. We'll get into that in a minute, but the guard play defensively from the Pacers is not enough. Um, I think Tatum is too long, too good. Brown, same thing. The matchups don't look great defensively for the Pacers. Now, we have to keep in mind they were this close to winning in the
Yeah.
first game.
They were. They were.
So I feel like the formula is there. But when you get that confidence knocked out of you, you push for that first game and you don't get it. I feel like it's a lot harder to come back. So they're gonna go home now. It's Celtics are up 2-0. Pacers can try and defend their home court. We'll see what happens from there.
Yeah. Yeah. That first game was just so tough because like you said, they had it. They had it. They were right there, and I think the press conference with Rick Carlisle said a lot because he put it on himself, and I tend to agree that it was on him just because you got to foul up three. Like for this, for the second or third time in these playoffs, they have not fouled when they're up three. Now, it didn't hurt them as much because I mean they're here, they're in Eastern Conference Finals. The game against the Bucks where Chris Middleton hit the three, they won that game in overtime. So it didn't hurt them, but this is a situation where you didn't foul up three and you lost the game. And very important game because we know the percentages for teams that win game one. There it's like 70% or so, something like that. And so, you know, I think they are missing Benedict Mathurin in this series more than any other series. A big wing defender that could guard Jason Tatum, that could guard Jalen Brown. I like their guards. I mean, they're not the best defensive team. I mean, so
Yeah.
it's not like you have a small team, a small guard team like the Knicks, where you could put Neesmith on Jalen Brown. You can't do that this series. It's different. You gotta have a plethora of big wings that can guard these guys because I mean if we're being honest, Boston is pretty big team. They don't even have their longest biggest player in Porzingis.
Right.
And so, it's just tough. You got to be able to defend. You can't allow 133 points and 126 points against Boston. You're going to lose pretty much every time. And Boston's defense hasn't been that great either. They've given up 128 and 110. So I mean, we got to give a shout out. We got to give props to Indiana's offense because they are a good offensive team, but it's just a bad matchup. And I had this series going six. I still think it's a possibility that it can go six because if the Celtics don't hit their threes and they're just off, then that's a game that you can win, that the Pacers can win. And I see this is how I see it going. I see um, the Pacers winning game three. Just now, also I have to preface this. Tyrese Halliburton's injury, we don't know, what it is right now. He left the game too with lower leg soreness. I don't know if it's just a precaution to with the game was pretty much over at that point once he got injured. So it might have been just a precaution to keep him out, not to worsen the injury. Um, so his health is important because he's the second, in my opinion, the second best player on the team after Pascal. So we have to see what his injury is like. But if he's healthy and can play, I think the Celtics will lose this game, get game three, and it'll just be this normal game. I think game four is a game where the Celtics will struggle to shoot. Um, so no, I'm sorry. Game three is where they'll struggle to shoot, and I see game four the Celtics winning that one in Indiana. Game five, I think they'll struggle to shoot at home, and I think Boston will close it out in game six in Indiana. That's how I see it playing out. And so, I think the Celtics are going to take this one in six and advance to the NBA Finals. But I don't think they play Porzingis at all this series. With them being up 2-0, I don't think it's really necessary. Miles Turner has been playing well, but like I said in our last video where we talked about the NBA, they don't need him. They don't need a big guy on him, really. They can put Tatum on him. He's long enough. They've been putting Derek White on him a lot. In the post, Derek White has been guarding him, and he's not, like I said, he's not an inside threat. he's not a post up type player, and so that really helps Boston out a lot because while he is 7 foot, he's not a back to the basket player. He shoots threes. He's on the perimeter a lot, so you can pretty much put anybody on him. And so I don't think they need Porzingis.
Yeah, I fully agree. Um, even if they decide to play Porzingis, I think it should be just to get some minutes, get some air under his legs. Other than that,
Yeah,
you don't need Porzingis to win this series. It's got to be more from Miles Turner from the Pacers. It's got to be more from the guards. Um, and with Tyrese's injury, we don't know how healthy he's going to be.
yeah,
And if he's barely able to go or if he's not, I feel like either way it's going to be on Siakam. He is probably the most experienced player on this
for sure,
team.
for sure. And
You know,
he's been playing the best.
yes, yeah, I agree. They'll go as he goes. So um, I had Celtics in 6. I think I'm gonna go Celtics in 5.
Yeah,
You know, these Pacers team, they had a great run. I
yeah,
take
no, excellent
nothing
run.
away from them, but it just seems like the stars are aligning for Boston. I mean, everything is going well for them, and I'm not saying they don't deserve it. They've earned where they are. Um, Teams healthy or not, they've still beaten them. So um, I think the Celtics will get this one in 5. I think Pacers win this next game. I think Celtics win the next 2. Yeah,
So what can the Pacers do to get back in this series? Make it a series, make it competitive. What can they do?
I think you have to. We understand Jason Tatum is streaky. He's
Yeah,
been more consistent, I think, this playoffs than ever. But I feel like you have to stop Jaylen Brown. Um,
yeah.
Jaylen Brown is the one that sets the tone for the offense.
He's been
So
going crazy.
right, and
I'm saying like getting to the hole at ease, like
yeah, it
just
will.
yeah,
I don't, I don't know if you can stop him or slow him down. I mean, I'm hesitant to say try doubling him or switching. I mean, I don't know. Um, I think of Rick Carlisle as more of a defensive guy than an offensive guy. I may be wrong, but I feel like gotta try and figure something out to slow down Jaylen Brown. I mean, he's been the dagger in both of these games.
yeah,
So you know, maybe doubling, maybe switching. You know, trying to throw everything at him to slow him down. But other than that, I feel like the Pacers, you have to win the game early. Um, you let one slip in game 1, and you got down to the wire, and couldn't couldn't take it. Second game got blown out. I feel like at the beginning of that fourth quarter, you have to be in a good spot to
yeah,
try and win the game. So I think throw what you can at Jaylen Brown, hope for the best, and then play a good game leading up to the fourth quarter to get you into a position to win the game. Because if it goes late again, I trust the Celtics more than I trust the Pacers.
yeah, yeah. I think those are good things. I don't know what they can do really. I think they need to trust their offense. There are some things schematically on defense that they can probably do. Um, I think they have to make Jalen Brown a shooter. And I
Sag
we
off.
we we remember that game against the Warriors where the Warriors just let him just be wide open,
Yep.
and he shot the lights out. But you have to keep him from getting downhill, and you got to wall him off. You got to make him a shooter. Now, anybody else? I say don't do that.
Right.
But you can't let him get going in the paint and then kick out and things like that. I just think that's one thing. You got to put Neesmith on him. He's their best defender.
Yep.
Um, you got to be aggressive with this team. I don't think the Celtics are an aggressive team. I think
No.
they're more finesse.
Nets
You
all
gotta
finesse.
you gotta really be aggressive with them and try to get them off of their spots because they run sets. They run a lot of sets. It's not as free flowing as you would think. Like the Pacers' offense is. So you got to be aggressive with them. Use your bench. Utilize your bench. If you got people in foul trouble, that's okay because you have to be aggressive against this team.
Yep.
Those are just some things that I think the Pacers can do to get back in this series. Trust their offense. Shoot the ball. You got to shoot. You got to score. Like if you know you're not a good defensive team, you got to score the ball. And like the first game, 133 to 128. Those are going to be the type of games that you're going to have to win, unless the Celtics are just cold. And if
Right.
that's the case, then you have a real shot at winning some games. But they have so many weapons that it's hard for everybody to be off. So yeah, let us know down in the comment section what you guys think about this series. Who you guys have coming out, Celtics or Indiana? You've heard our picks. Let us know your picks down in the comment section, and we'll definitely be talking about that as well. Also, follow us on Twitter at TSPJDN. We love the interaction. We love, commenting and things like that. So follow us there as well. But Jeremiah, let's transition over to the Western Conference. The game has tipped, and so the
Yes.
not Denver, they're out.
They're out.
Thanks to Minnesota. We've got the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks, where we saw Dallas take game one with great games from Luca and Kyrie.
Yes, the Mavericks played a great game. I think Timberwolves also played a great game. And as I was watching it, man, this game was so back and forth all the way until the end. I mean, it was I don't know how many lead changes there were. I should have been paying more attention, but I mean, it was just bucket after bucket after bucket, and the score was always between 2, 4, 6 points.
Yeah,
Um, so it's going to be a great series. Um, the Mavericks did take game one, and I think you look at this game one. You see Ant's press conference after the game, and he says, maybe we were a little tired. Um, and I think there's evidence of that late game. Their legs, started to look a little dead. But overall, I think the 1-2 punch of Luca and Kyrie may be a little much for the Mavericks. We're gonna see. Um, we mentioned before leading up to the series that the Mavericks had not been shooting that well.
yeah,
Looks like they are now. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
this is perfect time to do it. But I don't know what that means for the Timberwolves. You're gonna have to get stops somehow
Hmm.
with Luca stepping back 3 feet. You're gonna have to try and get stops with Kyrie making you stumble. You're gonna have to get stops somehow.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this is gonna go 7 games. This is gonna be an incredible series.
Who do you have in seven?
7, I got the Mavs. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I got the Mavs. Partly the reason I just mentioned the 1-2 punch of Luca and Kyrie. I just think the the long season of the Timberwolves is probably going to take a toll on them again in this series. And to consistently outscore Luca and Kyrie, they can probably get 3 wins. I don't think they can get 4.
I have the Dallas Mavericks in seven as well. I do think that the Timberwolves will make an adjustment into game two.
Yep.
And so we'll see some type of change. And by the way, I just want to preface this. These are I know we're a game or two games into the conference finals, but these are our picks that we had previously before this series started. And I do want to just let you guys know that we're recording this on a Friday. It is difficult for us to get content out for you guys during the week. We both work,
Yep.
and so just bear with us. I know that we definitely want to bring you guys the content as it happens, but just be patient with us and stick it out with us. We're definitely going to be talking sports as our name suggests. So yeah, I have Mavericks in 7. I thought that the series was going to be close. These two teams match up very well. They have similar styles. They want to play excellent defense, and they have 2 to 3 guys that can really star in their role and get you buckets. But they play as a team, and they lead on they depend on their stars, Luca and Kyrie and Carl Anthony Towns and Ant to really lead the ship and get them into their sets and score when the team needs it. I think every game is gonna be like this, man.
Yep.
Low hundreds, high 90s. It's definitely not gonna be like the Eastern Conference
No.
130s. If it gets into the 130s, it's a blowout, and one team is just getting destroyed, and the other team is scoring all the points. But I don't see that happening. These teams are too good defensively to allow that, and so I think it's gonna be back and forth, man. I don't know if anybody's gonna get 2 games straight in this series. I just think that's
Yeah,
how close it can be.
I agree.
Um, it's gonna be fun for sure. But I did have a question, and you have to try to defend Dallas somehow. And so, game 1, we saw a lot of drop coverage in the pick and roll with Gobert, and toward the end of the game, they started to blitz that pick and roll. But in your opinion, what do you think is the best game plan for Minnesota defensively to try to stop Dallas?
I think defensively, you I don't see drop coverage working here. I think blitzing is the best call because try and make it a little uncomfortable for Luca, make him, you know, question his shot, make Kyrie pass. Um, and I think leading from that is hopefully you get a missed shot and you can set the tone and the pace for the game. Um, I think if it's a series where you have to run, I don't see it favoring the Timberwolves. Just because I know both teams are young, but still your legs can only go so far. So I feel like they should get in their game plan, get in their sets on offense. Um, but it starts with the defense,
Yeah,
and if Luca and Kyrie combine for 60 plus every night, they can call it. They can call
yeah,
it day because all they need is 10 from PJ and 8 from Derek Lively, and I mean that's it. That's all they
yeah,
need. So
yeah.
you have to try and limit them. I say I say blitz. I say step up, make them uncomfortable. I say smother them, double. I mean, try and make them as uncomfortable as you can. So
So you're basically saying try to get the ball out of Luca's hands at all costs. You got to show on the screens. You got
yes,
to double
yep,
and just make other people make plays.
yep,
Basically,
yeah.
yeah,
If PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. are getting him 20 points plus, we'll live with that. But
I mean, especially after game one,
right,
Luca and Kyrie, they scored most of the points. They had 61,
exactly,
or 60 something at least.
63.
The 63, yeah.
Yeah,
The the tough part about game one was that Dallas they only made six threes.
mm,
It's the fifth team in I think NBA playoff history, or maybe NBA history, to have a 12. What's this? That it's a 12, 12 3 differential. So to lose the 3-point differential by 12 and still win the game. Dallas had six threes. The Timberwolves had 18, and they lost the game. It's that that's discouraging because when you think you're gonna make that many threes and the other team, have that little, you think you win that game for sure. But
yeah,
Dallas dominated the paint. Problem, and this is why I have Dallas winning the series. Like each thing that you do defensively, I think they have a counter for. That if you double Kyrie, then somebody's gonna be open. If you show on the screens, then they can throw the lob over the top. Um, PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. in the corner hitting those threes. You know, it's just tough, and we saw that they can score in the paint.
yeah,
Kyrie can score. Kyrie can get any shot he wants on the court,
right.
and so it's just going to be difficult. They're going to have to go all out. And like you said, game one, Ant looked tired. They put so much into that series against Denver. They wanted it so badly, and you can tell like
Yeah,
the way that they were talking and the trash talk and just the energy that they showed, and especially in that game seven, it was it was incredible to watch. And physically they're young, but emotionally it takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you,
yeah,
and you know we'll see what they have in game two, and you know it's gonna be a fun series. I think they can get they need this game though. They definitely need this game. They need to
for
tie
sure.
it up. They have the ability to win on the road, but Dallas at home, that crowd is different.
It is. It is different. Um, and I agree with you. They do have the ability to win on the road. We've seen that all playoffs long. I want to say this about the Timberwolves. I feel like, we talked about a possible defensive game plan for them. I feel like this series will definitely be won defensively. We mentioned Kyrie being able to get any shot he wants. I think Luca can just about do the same.
Yeah,
Um, I think they'll get theirs. You throw what you can at them, but I also think Ant can get his, and I think you can. I think you can get enough production out of McDaniel's, enough out of Towns. Um, but this game, it's going to be won with stops. You have to do. I feel like you have to spend more energy on defense this series than you do on offense. Um, if they can keep the Mavericks under 100, 110, anywhere under that, I feel like they got a shot to win. They only
yeah,
lost 3 last game. So, it was there. It was there for them. Um, Execution late game has to be perfect defensively. Perfect.
yeah.
No, no silly fouls, no fouling on the three,
Right.
none of that. So, it's a game of stops defensively for the Timberwolves. They say defense wins championships. I think that's true when you're facing these offensive juggernauts like the Mavericks. So we'll see what happens in
Right.
game two. I agree. I think Timberwolves need this game. Um, if the Mavericks go up 2-0, Celtics are up 2-0, anything can happen, but I feel like that might be our finals matchup.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is the finals. That's what I have. Dallas versus Boston, best team versus best player. And I just to piggyback off of what you were saying about Minnesota, you don't really expect a game like that from Ant. 19 points.
Yeah.
You know, most of his made shots were threes. He had five threes,
Yep.
so he wasn't really getting downhill. Shout out to Dallas's defense, but we know what type of player Ant is. He's explosive. He gets to the rim with ease. He's fast, and he does play both sides. This might be a series where I think offensively, Ant needs to be the guy offensively.
For
Not,
sure.
I mean, he can have his defensive moments. I think this is a series where legitimately he can guard PJ Washington or Derrick Jones Jr., stay in the corner and focus on offense. Um, because if if the Dallas Mavericks are gonna pick and roll all game long, then
He'll switch anyway.
he'll switch anyway. So I mean, why not just start on him, start on PJ, sit in the corner, rest a little bit. I don't think now. Granted, in spots, in times, in moments where you got to sit down in the chair and you got to clamp Kyrie or try to clamp Luca, then by all means. But
Right.
for 48 minutes, I just don't think because if you're getting a performance like you got game one from Ant, 19 points, it's just not gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Um, so I think they need him more offensively this series than in previous series before. Just to give him that punch offensively because Jaden McDaniels leading you in scoring, it may not necessarily be the best option.
Yeah, I agree. It's, while he can get hot, like we saw, six threes. But yeah, I agree. And he has to play similar like he did against Denver. I mean, each stat line
Yeah.
was like at 33, 39, 36, 40. So for sure, I think, like you mentioned, offensively as well, I think you have to get a little more out of Conley as well. I know he's the
Yeah.
floor general, he's the seasoned veteran, but you got to get at least 10, 15 points just to, like you said, put them
Yeah.
over that
Yeah.
edge. Because if you had 10 points, they win the game. So,
Yeah.
um,
And just looking at game one, Nas Reed only had 24 minutes. Those minutes got to go up. We got
yeah,
he
fully agree.
he's a mismatch, and he can guard a big, but he can guard a wing as well, and he puts the Dallas bigs in difficult situations because he brings them out. I think you got to get more minutes from Nas Reed and maybe less minutes from Gobert. I know he's good defensively, but I think you need more minutes. I think this should be a Nas Reed series for sure. He needs at least 30 minutes.
And I think he's proven that he deserves that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can trust him. I feel like now. I mean, he's shown that. Um, and yeah, I think a few less minutes from Gobert. I'm cool with a few less minutes from McDaniels. I mean, I know he got hot, but you know, I'm fine with that. And the difference is the Mavericks bigs can switch out. We
Yeah,
Kyrie, Kyrie and Luca are gonna play most of the game. We understand that. But I mean, Derrick Jones will switch out. You got Lively coming in. Um, Hardaway will give you a few minutes. They're okay with going a little bit smaller sometimes. So because PJ
yeah,
can go whoever. um,
right.
so yeah, I mean, I feel like he should get more minutes as well. At least, yeah, 30s should be at least the minimum.
Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. Well, this series is 1-0 Dallas, and just a score update for those. It's 31 Minnesota 40, Dallas 31 right now. second quarter. So we see Minnesota's up. We'll see if that continues. But we want to give you guys a scheduling update. As we're recording this tomorrow, we will be have our first video on our on tennis on the sport of tennis. The French Open is coming soon next week, so looking forward to that for sure. We love tennis, so we're definitely excited to be breaking this down. And we're gonna have a special guest on next episode of the pod, just breaking down the French Open and that tennis tournament in France. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's exciting. Tennis is, a sport we've loved for a long time.
Yeah,
And, you being a Nadal fan, me being a Federer fan, it's always nice to, talk about tennis, and excited for our special guest tomorrow as well. So it'll be fun.
yeah, it definitely will. Tune in for that. Hit that notification bell so that you see that video when it drops. Um, Jeremiah, last words before we get out of here.
I got to shout out my team one more time. Man City took it home. Love to see it. I'm excited for the NBA Finals that's coming up. These Western Conference Finals and Eastern Conference Finals are preparing us very well. I feel like for that last matchup, but I'm
Yeah,
I'm very excited about the finals. I think seeing a battle of the duos of Jalen Brown and Tatum and Luca and Kyrie will be must see TV. So yeah, very
and
excited.
even if Minnesota does win this series against Dallas, I think that's going to be a fun series as well because
Absolutely,
we
absolutely,
have you have like two different styles. We have
right.
an offensive team with Boston, and we're not overlooking Indiana. We just don't really think that they have enough. But just looking ahead, you know, offensive team completely balanced with Boston, and then we have a great defensive team with Gobert and Ant and Jaden McDaniels and those guys. So contrasting styles, that would be a fun series as well, even if Dallas
Sure.
doesn't make it. So yeah, NBA finals are going to be fun. I'm happy that as an NBA fan, I'm happy that we're going to have a new champion this year,
Yes.
and these teams are young, man.
Yeah.
So to see where this championship, whoever wins it, where it's going to propel the team that wins, where it's going to take them because you know Ant's 22, Luca's 25, um, or maybe 24, I guess.
Yeah. Tatum and
Jason
Brown.
Tatum, they're young, even though they've been seems like in the league 10 years. Um, they're still young. In Indiana, they're young as well.
Right.
So young team is going to win this championship, and like we said in our previous videos when we talked about the NBA, like the old guard is done. I don't think we're going to see Steph, Katie, or LeBron getting another ring or making a deep playoff run. I just don't see it. So these are the teams that we're going to be watching for the next 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
and so we definitely appreciate them, and the NBA future is bright, and we're definitely going to be talking about it right here on the Talking Sports podcast. So with that being said, Jeremiah, great episode.
Sure.
Uh, Looking forward to tomorrow for sure. Thank you all for watching this episode of the Talking Sports Podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you see all of our content that we're dropping. And until next time, peace, y'all.
Peace.